hear it? The slow roar of the tide. It doesn't crash. It creeps. And when it finally arrives, it takes everything. This isn't the plot of a sci-fi movie. This is the future we're heading toward. The question is not if the ocean will rise. The question is, how much will it take before we act? Cities like Miami, Bangkok, and Venice are already sinking. But what happens when New York, London, and Sydney disappear beneath the surface? What happens when the ocean swallows the cities? Let's find out. It starts slowly. A few floods a year. Then every month. Then every week. Sea level rise is no longer hypothetical. It's happening. Greenland and Antarctica are melting at rates we can barely comprehend. With every passing year, the ocean eats more of the shore. In places like Jakarta, neighborhoods vanish overnight. In Miami, streets become rivers with each king tide. The warning signs have been there for decades. Ignored. Minimized. Forgotten. But water doesn't forget. And when it returns, it does so with a vengeance. Storms grow stronger. Hurricanes arrive more frequently. Rain falls harder, longer. Drainage systems collapse. Saltwater seeps into groundwater, contaminating wells. Farmland turns barren as the earth becomes too salty to yield crops. Fresh water becomes a rare commodity. Critical infrastructure is the first to fall. Electric grids spark and die. Subways transform into underground lakes. Bridges collapse under constant erosion. Hospitals are evacuated. And then, the migration begins. Millions flee low-lying regions. It's no longer about economics or politics, it's about survival. But inland isn't always safe. Tensions rise as cities strain to absorb climate refugees. Food supplies dwindle. Clean water is rationed. Old boundaries blur. Borders tighten. Nations begin to fracture. We often measure disasters in dollars. But here, the currency is human life. A mother clutches her child in a stadium-turned refugee shelter. A fisherman stares at the place his village once stood. An elderly man refuses to leave his flooded home, now waist-deep in brine. Families are split apart. Some never find each other again. Governments struggle to maintain order, but bureaucracy drowns in the tide. And as resources vanish, conflict ignites. Water wars. Food riots. Militia groups claiming elevated ground. Cities that once glittered with wealth now flicker with desperation. Temporary shelters turn permanent. Disease becomes rampant. Mental health collapses under collective trauma. The poorest suffer most. The ones who did the least to cause this crisis bear its heaviest cost. And yet, even in despair, the human spirit flickers. We form new communities. We share what little we have. We protect one another when no one else will. The world doesn't end. It changes. And those who endure, adapt. Floating homes begin to dot the waters near former coasts. Some are crafted from old shipping containers. Others from scavenged plastic. They rise and fall with the tides. New forms of energy replace the old. Wave power. Tidal turbines. Solar rafts floating on the water's surface. Farming changes too. Vertical farms sprout in old skyscrapers. Algae becomes a primary food source. Edible seaweed is cultivated in offshore gardens. Education continues, broadcasted via low-band radio. Children study under tarps, under domes, under the open sky. Healthcare becomes mobile. Tiny clinics roll between settlements, bringing vaccines and comfort. Medicine is bartered, shared, treasured. Technology isn't gone. It's just repurposed. Drones deliver food across flooded plains. Old satellites help map flood zones and warn of incoming storms. And amidst all this, hope grows. Not everywhere, not easily, but it grows. Generations pass. The map changes. What once were nations are now archipelagos. Former mountain towns become bustling ports. And beneath the waves, cities sleep, silent monuments to our ambition and our arrogance. But above, life begins anew. Architecture evolves, domed roofs, water-shedding exteriors, buildings on stilts. Society shifts, less consumption, more cooperation. History is preserved, but not worshipped. Children are taught about the great floods, not to fear them, but to understand them. They learn about the mistakes we made, about carbon, about denial, about inaction. But they also learn about resilience, about the builders, the healers, the ones who stayed and helped others rise. Art returns. Music echoes from floating amphitheaters. New holidays mark the survival of entire communities. And perhaps most beautiful of all, the ocean is no longer seen as an enemy. It is a neighbor, respected, understood. Because in the end, the sea took what we wouldn't protect. But it also gave us something back, a chance to begin again. So we ask you now, if the ocean came for your city, what would you do? Would you fight the tide? Or would you rise with it? Let us know in the comments. If this message resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share it. Because the tides are rising. But so can we.